In this emotional USA-based story, a brave little girl sells her late father's Harley to save her sick mother, never expecting the incredible response that follows. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and tell me, where are you watching from? Let's get started. Brave 9-year-old girl named Emily Carter. Her father, Michael Carter, had been a proud Harley rider all his life, riding with a friendly local veterans club. But when he passed away in a tragic accident 2 years earlier, his beloved black Harley Davidson was the only thing he left behind, a symbol of pride, honor, and memories Emily cherished deeply. Emily lived with her mother, Sarah, who had been fighting a severe illness for months. Medical bills kept piling up, and despite working double shifts at a local diner, Sarah couldn't afford her life-saving medication anymore. That week, Sarah's condition suddenly got worse. Emily watched helplessly as her mother struggled to breathe, her hands trembling as she opened an empty pill bottle. There was no money left. No relatives nearby. No one to ask for help. But Emily had courage, more than anyone her age should carry, and in her heart, she knew there was only one thing of value left in their small garage, her father's Harley. The thought of selling it hurt. Emily could still hear her dad's voice teaching her how to clean the chrome, how to buff the tank with care, how to respect the road. That Harley wasn't just metal, it was a piece of her father's soul. But Sarah's life mattered more than memories. So, with trembling hands, Emily made the hardest decision of her young life. Early the next morning, she pushed the heavy Harley out of the garage, struggling to keep it balanced. She posted a handwritten sign near the main road. "Harley for sale, need money for mom's medicine." People driving by slowed down, confused to see a small girl standing beside a classic motorcycle that looked far too big for her. Some took pictures, some asked questions, but no one helped. Finally, a kind older man named Tom Henderson, a former Marine and local garage owner, stopped when he saw the sign shaking in her tiny hands. His heart sank as he listened to Emily tell her story, her mother's illness, the hospital bills, and her father's Harley. Tom knew exactly what that motorcycle meant to a rider. He had owned Harleys his entire life. He knelt beside her and said softly, "Sweetheart, are you sure you want to sell this?" Tears filled Emily's eyes, but she nodded. "For Mom, I'll do anything." Tom didn't bargain, he didn't negotiate. He offered her the full price, cash, far more than she expected. Emily stared at the money, shocked and overwhelmed. She thanked him again and again, clutching the envelope as if it were her mother's lifeline. Tom loaded the Harley onto his trailer, his eyes heavy with emotion. The moment he reached his garage, he made one phone call, one that would echo across biker clubs all over the state. Within hours, the message spread like wildfire through veteran biker groups, Harley riders, and brotherhood clubs, including one legendary name. When Tom Henderson hung up the phone, he knew the story wouldn't stay quiet for long. The biker world in Montana and across the American West was built on a deep code of honor. They didn't turn their backs on family, veterans, or children in need. And Emily, a 9-year-old who sacrificed her father's pride and joy to save her mother, touched every rider who heard the story. Within hours, phones buzzed in biker garages, tattoo parlors, fire pits, and clubhouses. Little girl sold her dad's Harley for her sick mom. Child in trouble, mother can't afford medicine. We ride tonight. By late afternoon, engines began waking the horizon. At first, Emily and Sarah had no idea what was coming. After buying the medicine with the cash Tom gave her, Emily hurried home. She helped her mother into bed and handed her the much-needed pills. Sarah cried softly, hugging Emily with what little strength she had. "My brave little girl, I'm so proud of you," she whispered. But in the distance, a strange rumble began rising. The windows trembled. Sarah looked up in confusion. "Is that thunder?" Emily ran to the porch and froze. Down the long stretch of their street, a wall of motorcycles appeared. Not 5, not 20, but hundreds. Their headlights glowed like a river of fire as they rolled in formation. Leather vests, American flags, Marine patches, POWMA patches, and in the center of it all, the unmistakable red and white patch. HELLS, ANGLS, Montana chapter. Neighbors stepped outside, stunned, dogs barked, cars stopped. The entire street fell silent as 250 Hells Angels came to a slow, unified halt in front of Emily's home. Engines idled like a heartbeat, steady and powerful. The chapter president, a towering man known as Grizzly, stepped off his bike and walked straight to Emily. He removed his helmet, showing a thick gray beard and eyes that carried miles of stories. "You the little lady who sold her daddy's Harley?" he asked gently. Emily nodded nervously. Grizzly knelt down to her eye level. "You're stronger than most grown men I know, and no child should ever have to give up their father's legacy to save their mom. We don't let family fight alone." He waved his hand, and two bikers rolled forward a truck carrying something covered with a black tarp. When they pulled the tarp off, Emily gasped, hands flying to her mouth. It was her father's Harley, fully restored, polished, detailed, shining like new. Tom stood beside it, smiling proudly. Grizzly continued, "We bought it back, and it stays with you, forever." Emily burst into tears and hugged him tightly. The massive biker wrapped his arms around her gently, like a protective bear. But that wasn't all. Another group of bikers approached Sarah with envelopes, donations collected from riders across 4 states. Enough money to cover her medical treatment for months. Sarah broke down, overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers who felt like family. Grizzly turned to the crowd and roared, "Brothers, this family rides with us now." The bikers erupted in cheers. Engines thundered so loudly the whole town felt it in their bones. That night, with the sun setting behind the mountains, Emily stood beside her mother as the Hells Angels formed a protective circle around their home. No longer alone, no longer afraid. Because in America, sometimes the most unlikely heroes ride in leather and chrome. And they show up when the world least expects it.